Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is the Metatron speaking. Today I'd like to talk about languages again, and I'd like to talk about rolling of the R, the rolling of R, the rolled R, which is very common in some Romance languages like Italian and Spanish. I have seen, just for fun, a few tutorials out there that talk about how to roll your R properly, or how to manage to roll your R, since it seems like that quite a few people can't properly produce this sound, and they end up making a anglophone R. Now, it's interesting because most of these tutorials were made, that you find on YouTube, are made by people who can't roll your R's properly. So I thought to myself that since, considering my first language, my native language, which is Italian, I obviously know how to roll an R, it's a very natural thing to do for me, then I thought that perhaps I could make a little tutorial here to try and help those of you who are struggling with this sound, particularly if you're learning either Italian or Spanish. Now, when I speak English, as you will probably have noticed, I don't roll my R's. I almost not even pronounce my R's. That's because I've learnt English in England, and I've kind of picked up that accent, which is a non-rhotic accent, particularly in the area where I lived when I was in England. However, when I speak Italian, I do roll my R. So, for example, I wouldn't say, I wouldn't say, to say rich, which in Italian I wouldn't say ricco, but I would say ricco. So there is a R sound. So let's hear the sound now. The proper sound is R, 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 R. So it's a sound that you can continue over time. You can repeat. R. Now, I've noticed two things. The first thing is how do you pronounce it if you don't know how to do it? Well, it really depends. One thing that I do when I pronounce this sound is that, okay, first of all, it has nothing to do with your throat, it has nothing to do with pushing out air strongly, like I've seen in some videos that tell you to do like h sound and then like something like that. It sounds Arabic, sounds a little silly, I have to say. No, as you can see, the sound needs to be clean. So yes, your voice goes through the tongue. You kind of keep it stiff if you can, particularly in the middle, but without making it not too stiff, just a bit, just enough. And the point of your tongue needs to be loose. Okay, so you must not touch any part of the inside of the mouth to create this sound. Unfortunately, I can't get any better than that because it's a movement that you just need to get the feeling out of it. You need to know how it feels. But it's not something that has to do with practice. I've seen some tutorials on YouTube saying just practice, 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 and then you'll get it. It's something that you could get overnight, honestly. You just need to understand and teach your body how that you can move the tongue that way. So it is practicing, but if you see that the way you're pronouncing it, it ends up like a r sound, like in English, then it means you're not doing it right. So just change it. Don't keep on practicing the r, hoping that it becomes a r, because it will never happen. You just need to do that. So examining the sound more specifically from a linguistic point of view, we mostly have, let's say, there are quite a few ways to pronounce R's within languages, within the many languages we have in the planet. For example, the French R is the R sound, R, like in Rodin, raisin, or Patrick, where it becomes a bit stronger because of the T. This sound is R, okay? So it's on the top of your mouth, a little bit back. And if you go further back from the French R, 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 you move to the German R, sehr gut, sehr gut, warum, warum. So it's kind of similar to the French R, but it's different because it's further back in the mouth. Okay? I've heard people telling you, if you want to speak properly Italian and Spanish, do this, and then they do the German R. It's another thing. The Italian R is in the front of the mouth, so it's R. So to do all of them, you have, and then you have the English R, the Anglophone R, which is R. It goes a little bit further down. R, R, R. Americans are really good at this one, aren't they? Because I say car, but Americans say car, so you have the R there. But again, and Irish as well. So, so you have quite a few, right? So you have okay, these are kind of all the R's we have. Occasionally in some languages, like in Chinese, you have other kinds of sounds which are linked to R, but for now let's just have a look at these. So now, once you get to the Italian sound, R, you need to be careful not to over-exaggerate, and that's something that I've noticed happens a lot with singers, particularly American singers, who manage to get the R sound and then they exaggerate it. In Italian, you have two ways to pronounce the R. If you have one single letter, one R, you need to pronounce it softly, R. It doesn't need to be too strong, R, like in the word ricco, rosso, grazie, Roma. Okay? When you have two R's, that's where you show off your real sound. And for example in guerra and carro. Now, it sometimes can be a distinctive sound because caro, with just one R, caro, means deer, whereas carro in Italian means a wagon, like a medieval wagon. It's a word that they still use in Spanish, in some areas where they use Spanish, instead of coche, for example, to say car. You can't say carro in Italian to say car because it will be funny, it will sound like, you know, for us it's just an ancient word. So again, caro, one R, carro, two R's, caro, carro. It's very important that you don't exaggerate it or you'll end up saying another thing, okay? A very good example and a word for you to practice the difference between double R and single R is the word that in English you would say Ferrari, like the cars, because you have two R's followed by one R. So you should say Ferrari, Ferrari. So as you notice, two R's are stronger, Ferrari. The last one is ri, it's shorter. So I don't say Ferrari, okay, that doesn't make sense. I say Ferrari, but I don't say either Ferrari, Ferrari. Ferrari would be only single R's, okay? So in that case, just practice this one if you want. Ferrari, Ferrari. Alright, I hope that this helped. And if you like this video, please thumb up and subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much for watching. And remember, the Metatron has spread its wings. Goodbye. Arrivederci.